Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Yo, what's going on, Xbox and YouTube? Now, today we are here to talk about basically the gaming industry and how I honestly feel like they are selling out as time slowly goes on. Now, the best example of this type of thing would be Call of Duty. Now, if you look at the latest Call of Duty Infinite Warfare made by Infinity Ward, well, it has well over 2 million dislikes on it as of today. But the whole reason people have disliked that video is not necessarily because they dislike Call of Duty. A lot of people love Call of Duty, but they feel like Infinity Ward has not listened to what we had to say. And we have been asking for a game put in the past for a lot longer than most people realize. We've been asking for a game such as or like World at War for almost 5 years now. So when they say that they were already developing this brand new Infinity Warfare, well, that is a bunch of bullshit. They more than likely just went the way that they wanted to. Now, this is my theory, but I honestly believe that the people that make Call of Duty know this, because in the past with Call of Duty, no other game, and they have never done this before, and for good reason, but they have now made 5 games that are set within the future. And like BDobbins said, everybody when the first Black Ops game came out, Black Ops or whatever the hell it was, and then we had Ghosts. Ghosts was the worst game ever, and even after that game got released, there was already tons of talk of going back to World War II with our current technology and our gaming systems to basically see what we could do with our current graphics and everything else, because we haven't had a World of War game since World of War, if you really think about it. So that is what people are really upset about, because to be honest with you, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare probably will be a lot of fun, but like the YouTuber said earlier, which I was watching, BDobbins, he basically hits the nail right on the head. People don't feel like they were listening. People don't feel like Infinity Ward really cares what's going on in the Call of Duty world, and they seem to be running their own agenda without really consulting their fan base. And by doing what you want with a game, well, you kind of start to piss off the people that play your game. So even if they love Call of Duty, well, they're not necessarily going to give you a thumbs up on your trailer just because they are a fan of Call of Duty. I can tell you I have been a fan of every Call of Duty, and this is the first year I have never bought a Call of Duty. And I know you guys have seen me playing Black Ops 3 a few times on my channel, but I don't personally own that game. My little brother owns that game, so every once in a while I like to check it out just to see what's going on in the game. And lately I've been having a lot of fun playing the Kill Confirmed Hardcore. And just because I don't like Call of Duty does not mean that I can't play the game. But when it's set in such a futuristic fashion, and BDobbins once again hit it right on the head when he said that people kind of feel like when you are in the future that there is no rules, which is absolutely true. There is no rules when it comes to the future, because regardless of what future you're talking about, if you're talking about 50 years, 100 years, 200, 1,000, it really has no bearing on the game or how you feel about the game, and you're not really interested in playing something that you can't physically put your shoes in. So back in the Call of Duty 4 days, and a little bit before that, and a little bit after Call of Duty 4, the games were much more relatable, and there were rules involved, because the games that we were making had rules because of these things have already happened within history. So if World at War, or World at War has to follow the World War rules, and if they don't follow the rules, well, people tend to find out and basically call out the makers of Call of Duty. So by bringing the game into the future, well, that just puts no rules on the system, and they're able to come up with the most outlandish things like hive grenades, all these crazy kill streaks that are in games, and it just never seems to end. And that is what really ruins Call of Duty for a lot of people, because even if you look at games like Halo and other games that realistically don't make any sense, well, the developers of the game spend extensive time trying to explain to you how these things would work in the game, and using pseudoscience, as BDobbins says, to basically make it make sense. So if we have floating cars, well, explain that. Even if the science doesn't really make sense, just explain it so it gives you a deeper immersion into the game. People play games, especially Call of Duty, to basically get out of life for a little while. So when you ruin somebody's immersion, well, it kind of just ruins the entire experience after that. And it seems like a lot of games are really going towards this outlandish style of game making because it is a lot easier. There's no real thought having to be put into anything. They can just throw it into the game and there it is. And it doesn't really matter why it's in there. They don't really have any backstory on why it's in there. And it just ruins the game. And I am so happy that I watched this video today because it's honestly how I've been feeling about the gaming industry since the next-gen consoles have came out. Everything feels like it's not for the consumer anymore. It feels like it's just a way of tricking people into playing and buying the same things over and over again. Call of Duty doesn't dare to be different ever. Now, if you look at Battlefield, Battlefield is a little bit different because it's an open sandbox game, but Battlefield still does a better job at explaining what is going on in the game than the Call of Duty series has in a long, long time. Now, Infinity Ward, by the knowledge of BDobbins over there, said that the two creators of Call of Duty 4 were forcibly kicked out of Infinity Ward, and the game has basically went downhill since. And I could not agree more. And it seems like the classic case of greed. You know, somebody takes a very good idea built by a group of people that made it because they love the game and they love making games. But then once they have created what they created, well, the corporate America takes over and kicks them out of their own creation, and now look what happens to it. It is just a hollow shell of a game of what it used to be. And I didn't even realize this until today that is why I am so bored with so many games. For one, they don't make any sense. The storyline is absolutely horrible. And just like BDobbins said, I haven't even made it past like the 5th or 6th mission on Black Ops 3 because the story is just so ridiculously outlandish that I would rather just go watch a movie or a sci-fi film on Sci-Fi Network or whatever the hell that is. That's how realistic it is to me, and I didn't think it... At first, I thought it was just me, and I was getting older, and things were, you know, games just weren't exciting me like they used to, and, you know, that's fine if that was really the case, but really what I think is the case and why most people have nostalgia for older games is because games nowadays are made for the complete wrong reasons. They are made to basically suck money out of people. If you look everywhere, there's always a catch in most games. Look at any EA Sports game ever. I have stopped playing NHL for the very same reason, NHL 16, because Hockey Ultimate Team is so noticeably rigged, and I don't care what anybody else has to say about that. I have played over 3 or 4 days of game time into Hockey Ultimate Team, and I am very good with patterns, and I start to sense a lot of patterns going on within NHL 16, and the same thing can be said for Call of Duty. You can sense a lot of patterns going on with the same game through and through. It doesn't matter. Each year the game is basically just reskinned. And that's fine, but it's just a terrible marketing scheme that they always try to pull on you. Every year they get big YouTubers to talk very good about the games. And I'm not talking shit about the YouTubers. I mean, to be honest with you, go ahead, make your money. That's none of my business, really. But it's just so sad to see people hype up everything, and I have been duped several times in the past. I can name just a few games right off the top of my head. We got Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. We had Titanfall on PC and on Xbox. We had Halo the Master Chief Collection, which would have been a good game if it wouldn't have been broken almost all the way up to the Halo 5 Guardians release, which in my opinion they only released the Master Chief Collection so they could get all of the networking issues out of the way for Halo 5, which is completely understandable, but once again they did not say that. They didn't have any mentioning of it, and to be honest with you, the game was 100% broken aside from the campaigns. Everything on multiplayer was 100% broken, and I had never felt like that was the most ripped off feeling I had ever felt in a long time. And back in the day when DLC first came out, I remember one of the first games I got DLC on was Halo 2, and the great part about the DLC back then, and that's why it's so great now, or at least people think it is because back then games were designed and made before there was even a thought of DLC really on the table. So when Halo 2 was made and released, they never really thought or planned on making any new maps, so the game was 100% fleshed out, and it was just fucking amazing. There was tons of multiplayer maps, tons of replayability in the campaign and in the multiplayer. Great ranking systems. They had thought everything through. The networking worked great, surprisingly for back in the day. But nowadays they go the complete opposite way with things, and they just tend to not think through anything, create more bugs while they're trying to fix the ones that are already in the game, which, to be honest with you, there should not be any bugs in a game that releases. When it goes gold, it should work as advertised. Just like when a game claims to be 60 FPS, but it only seems to hit 60 frames every so often. To me, that is 100% deception, and it's in action, and it's happening so much now, it seems like. We have all of these brand new things like game previews and early access, which are a totally different fucked up game in theirself, because companies are basically allowed to rip you off. They can make a game and bring it into early access and somewhat prove that they are going to make the game, but let's say something goes awry, well, they can keep all of your money and you're just stuck with a broken piece of shit. This happens a lot in Steam, but mostly on Steam, but it could happen on the consoles. And it's just a very terrible thing, because instead of seeing fleshed out, polished, awesome fucking games where people honestly thought through a lot of the game, well, we're just getting rushed games and rushed consoles, rushed everything, and it's all in the name of money, which is absolutely terrible. And that all boils back to the very beginning of this video when I was talking about people being greedy and how Call of Duty has basically went down the tubes because of it. So that is my opinion, guys, on this whole gaming situation and how games tend to basically try to dupe us nowadays based off of how great they used to be. Like Halo 2, like the old Rainbow Six games, which the new Rainbow Six is not too bad. But games like Destiny and games like The Division, take your trust and just tear it limb from limb, because you basically can tell when somebody can sit down at their Xbox or their PlayStation, play the game for a few days, and discover tons of glitches and bugs and all of these things. It really kind of makes you wonder what they're really doing over at these developmental companies when they're making these games and they're beta testing these games. It just doesn't make any sense to me, guys, and tons of money is being made all the while we're all confused as hell about what's going on in the gaming industry. So this is just my opinion about a lot of stuff, guys, but if I've opened your perspective just a little bit on the way the gaming industry is kind of going down the tubes, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and stay tuned for my Roller Coaster Tycoon World Update number 5 First Impressions video. That will be coming up later on tomorrow. But I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.